Monty is the guy that's in charge of these guys here. Oh, he's been here.
You've been there.
We had to keep buckles on the shoes to keep them on.
My daddy has tired.
Okay. Tom's going to come down here.
How long does that thing take pictures for? Huh?
Oh, over here.
Oh, a friend of ours thinks
I'm a little hungry this morning.
Let's get our men up there.
I use Grant Morrison. over there, because I know where you are.
Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see you all out. We were getting phone calls, what are you going to do in case it rains? And I said we didn't even plan on that in case it should rain. So this is nice, beautiful weather. So we're glad you came. We feel we have a good program. We thank the officials that came, though they're so very busy. Also those from the DAR, those that came, and from the SAR, from the state as well as the country. And now, we're just going to give little excerpts of it, of the Revolutionary War era flag. There's 20 of them, and Port Republic Historical Society and school children are carrying them. They're going to start right now with one, and I'll identify it, and then we'll go in that order. The flag of the Bedford Minutemen. This is the first flag of the Revolution to receive a baptism of fire from the British. It was carried by the Bedford Minutemen at the battles of Lexington and Concord on that fateful day, April the 19th, 1775. It, like the Washington Lifeguard flag, bore the legend, "Conquer or Die."
Hey, why don't you get in?
The Washington's cruiser's flag. George Washington, his 6 schooners that he owned, flew this flag. They were outfitted and paid for by the general himself for use in the colonial coastal waters. The Cross of St. George. The Red Cross of St. George was for centuries the national banner of England. Under this flag, John Cabot, Sir Walter Raleigh, and Francis Drake made their early exportations. Under this flag, too, England became the mighty naval power she was to remain for centuries. In 1606, through the union of England's Cross of St. George and Scotland's Cross of St. Andrew. The Red Ensign of England. The American flag had its beginnings 169 years before the Revolutionary War. On May the 24th, 1607, English colonists settled Jamestown. 13 years later, the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth. Both groups carried the red ensign. Continental flag. Although the coming of the Revolution caused the rejection of the traditional British patterns for flags in many instances, the older patterns persisted to a surprising degree. The Continental flag was a version of the famed Red Ensign or Meteor flag. The Gadsden flag, one of the most famous rattlesnake flags. Patriot Colonel Christopher Gadsden of South Carolina designed this flag and presented it to the Continental Congress. Commodore Eskin Hopkins, commander of the new Continental Fleet, carried it when his ships put to sea for the first time in February 1776. Grand Union flag. The Grand Union was the first flag of the new American nation. Though not recognized as such when first raised, on January the 1st, 1776, the Continental Army came into formal existence. The Betsy Ross flag. Many versions of the Stars and Stripes appeared during and after the Revolution. Unfortunately, when Congress resolved on June the 14th, 1777, that the flag of the 13th United States be 13 stripes, alternating red and white, that the Union be 13 stars, white on a blue field representing a new constellation. The Bennington flag, one of the most popular flags of this bicentennial period, with its unusual arrangement of stars and stripes, flew over the military stores in Bennington, Vermont on August the 16th, 1777. General John Stark's militia led the American forces in decisively defeating the British raiding force. Star-Spangled Banner or Fort McHenry flag. This flag was flying over Fort McHenry at Baltimore when the British attacked on September the 13th, 1814. Francis Scott Key, a Washington lawyer, had gone aboard a British ship seeking the release of a friend held prisoner. He was detained throughout the night, and the sight of the American flag still flying over the fort the next morning inspired Key to write what later became our national anthem. Trenton flag. To show their dissatisfaction with England, the people of Trenton, Massachusetts added the words liberty and union to a common null banner, the meteor flag. Philadelphia Light Horse. Colorful troops of the Philadelphia City Cavalry carried this flag into battle. First Navy Jack. Several versions of the rattlesnake flag have appeared throughout the Revolution. This one is a version that appeared with the Colonial Navy forces and was flown aboard the first flagship Alfred of the newly commissioned Continental Fleet. January 1776. Fort Mateer flag. Another famous battle flag, the crescent flag of Colonel William Maltaire's South Carolina militia, was flying above the defenses of Sullivan Island in Charleston Harbor on June the 28th, 1776. The British fleet attacked that day, but in the course of the battle, the flag was shot away and fell into the ground. Sergeant William Jasper, defying shot and shell, recovered the banner and fastened on a cannon ramrod and implanted it once again on the bastion. The Culpeper flag. In 1781, troops of the Culpeper Minutemen, a Virginia militia force, used this flag, one of the many rattlesnake designs of the time. The Hope, or Rhode Island Regiment flag, an increasing resentment against the oppressive laws of the British Parliament, led to a number of acts of violence by early patriots. Such an incident occurred on the night of June the 10th, 1772, when an angry group of Rhode Islanders captured and burned His Majesty Revenue Cutter Gasper. 3 years later, native Rhode Islanders were among the first to join the Minutemen outside of Boston. The Commodore Perry flag. In 1812, America again had found herself in armed conflict with England. Commodore Oliver Perry, commanding an improvised American squadron in the Battle of Lake Erie on September the 10th, 1813. flew this flag aboard his flagship Lord. The pine tree flag, also known as the Massachusetts colony flag. This 1775 banner was used by the colonial batteries and vessels fighting the British in the New England coastal area. The Bunker Hill flag. Another of the flag variations that originated in the colonies was this flag that is reported to also have been in the battles at Breed's and Bunker Hill. It replaced the red of the meter flag with blue and kept the St. George Cross of England in the canton. These were presented by the Port Republic Historical Society and grade school children. And I think it'd be nice if we gave them a hand. They all very nice. And now the flag we're so proud of, the flag that we have today, which represents the United States of America. And Bonnie Yearsley is going to come up and lead us in the national anthem.
Oh, say, have you seen by the dawn's early light what so proudly hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the hope of our reign.
Now we'll be led to pledge allegiance by Robert Townsend. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our chaplain, Summers Gorsh, will lead us in prayer.
Heavenly Father, on this beautiful morning, we pause to thank you for our country, for the blessings that are afforded by it. We stand proud, thanking you for the heritage that we have, for those at this very site who gave their lives, we might enjoy today. Help us, each one, to somehow so live, so work, that generations yet to come may know this same freedom, the freedom of our country, the freedom to worship you, our God. Guide us and direct us in all that we do. May all be to your honor and glory. We ask it in the name of our Lord.
Welcome to the city of Port Republic. Port Republic had its origin, its beginning here at Chestnut in 1637. When 4 or 5 families decided this was a wonderful place to settle, to cut down the cedar tree, to mine the bog iron. They were interrupted in their sleep one morning when the British came ashore here, one of the first areas of America to ever be invaded. Actual troops landed here to invade America. These patriots fought, they gave their lives. My ancestors were, the Guivers of founding was among them. So I feel a special part of Chestnut Neck. Kurt Conover, a freeholder. Stevenson, freeholder. thank the SAR for remembering the privateer. The privateers were quite a group of people. I've learned stories from my grandfather were told to him for his grandfather. And my grandfather's version of Chestnut Neck is a lot different than Mr. Kemp's, but he's got the documented proof. But it was a fun thing to do, to go out and privateer and get these British ships to wash it aboard a sandbar so we could go out and confiscate their goods and help the cause for freedom. My grandfather told a story of walking a donkey with one leg tied up with lanterns attached to it, so the donkey would trip and follow the shoreline, and then they walked the donkey inland. The ships following, the British ships going down the coast, would see the light inland to their west, and would always want to be as close to land as they could be. And they would walk the hopping donkey away from the shoreline and bring the ship over there. The neat little tricks that these privateers do, and they certainly don't help the war effort. The British thought enough to send 3 regiments of their best Marines here to knock out the privateering.
Thank you, Mayor. I have some letters from the governor and senators and so forth, always same time, to all the governor, the senators, the congressmen, the assemblywomen, men, and so forth, and all at the same time. Within 2 days, I received a letter, and I don't know which one was first. Maybe it's good, I don't know. One from Congressman Hughes and one from Doris in April, beginning of April, that they would be here and speak. And so we appreciate that. The Lord's in your places, you too, when you're invited. Such a historic event as there today, so we thank you for that coming.
Thank you very much, Pastor, and I want to congratulate you and Colonel Richard Summers chapter of the SAR, Florida Republic Historical Society, and all those that have made this ceremony and this memorial possible. My good colleagues, both in the General Assembly and the Board of Freeholders, I'm just very happy and proud to be here with you today. Dolores Cooper, I'm sure, was first. She's first in most things that I can think of. But I wouldn't want to miss it because in addition to being probably one of the most historic sites in the United States of America, it's one of my favorite places. It's a beautiful area. You couldn't have picked a nicer day to unveil this memorial. Gary Giverson, I think, put his finger right on it. One of the first places. Foreign troops, they were foreign, that came ashore. At that time, privateering. Intercolonial conflicts was a going concern, but it was the Revolutionary War that really triggered the proliferation of privateers. Private boats manned upwards of 20 guns, went up and down our coast and brought in its prey, the British fleet, one at a time into Chestnut Neck. It was a most historic time. In 210 years, this coming Thursday, October the 6th of 1778, the British were so hurt by the colonies in their privateering that they invaded Chestnut Neck and burned Chestnut Neck to the ground. That was the last, unfortunately, of the activities here at Chestnut Neck. But the privateers went on to build an even bigger and better fleet after the Continental Congress. 3 months before the beginning of the Revolutionary War, actually sanctioned the privateering. However, Americans being such industrious folks, they were busy even before the Congress got around to it. That's typical. What happens today. People are generally ahead of what the Congress does. So nothing has changed over these many years. It is fitting that we unveil a memorial for the privateers because without the privateers, it wasn't the United States Navy at that time, the Navy of the colonies, because we only had basically, I think, 3 public ships. People didn't want to go into the Navy at that time because privateering was very lucrative. And of course, free enterprise was robust, even 1770 station pioneering took it to adulthood. So it is indeed fitting that we set aside this memorial so that our children and their children will know about the price that was paid for our freedom. We need to do more of what we're doing today. We need to remind posterity of the great sacrifices that were made by our ancestors to ensure that we have a country of democracy we know it today. We often take those precious freedoms for granted, but this is another reminder of the fact that we pay dearly, and the privateers helped ensure that we did succeed, and ensure that we build a country as we know it today. So thank you for inviting me. I hope that you'll continue to fight me back many, many ceremonies to commemorate this and so many other things that happened in our party. Thank you.
We'll say she was first. In her answer to her letter, she said, I'll be there and I'll speak. And so we appreciate Dolores and all the things that she did for us, and to say that she's a good friend.
Yes, Bill, I was first. I spent a quarter for a stamp. I now telephone for nothing. That's not a conservative fiscal responsibility. First and foremost, good morning, everyone. It's a joy to be back in the Republic. 41 years ago, when I came to Atlantic the Drive, I never heard of the Republic. It didn't take long because I always knew it was the bus. I did get nice official schools, so we know what that was. But today is even greater for me because I'm representing Governor Tom King with this letter, and on behalf of my colleague, Ed Klein, who could not be with us today, it's my joy to read this letter. Dear friends, I am delighted to extend warm greetings and congratulations to Colonel Richard Summers Chester and his son, the American Revolution, for the all-attended dedication of SAR United New Jersey privateers. Our privateers were a difficult time to fight for American independence. Their strategic attack on the vital supplies and operations of the mighty British merchant fleet earned them a place in our state and our nation's history. I am confident that this memorial will be a fitting partner to the SAR monument to commemorate the Battle of Chestnut, and that together they will stand as a concrete reminder of bravery and daring of our forefathers. Best wishes, sincerely. People call me Old Glory. Others call me Star-Spangled Banner. But whatever they call me, I am your flag. The flag of the United States of America. Something has been bothering me, so I thought I might talk it over with you, because it is about you and me. I remember some time ago lined up both sides of the street to watch the parade. Naturally, I was leading every parade, proudly waving in the breeze. When your daddy saw me coming, he immediately removed his hat and placed it over his heart. Remember? And you, I remember you, standing there straight as a soldier. You didn't have a hat, you were getting the right salute. Remember little sister not to be outdone? She was saluting the same as you with the right hand over her heart. Remember? What happened? I'm still the same old clown. Oh, I have a few more scars than you were, boy. A lot more blood has been shed with those parades of long ago. But now, I don't feel as proud as I used to. When I come down your streets, just stand there with your hands in your pockets. I may get a soul glance. Then you look away. And then I see children running down and shouting. They don't seem to know who I am. I saw one man take his hat off and then look around. He didn't see anybody else with his hat off, so he took his good hat back on. He just didn't be patriotic anymore. Have you forgotten what I stand for and where I have been? Anzio, Guadalcanal, Korea, and Vietnam. Take a look at the memorial honor rolls sometime of those who never came back to keep the Republic free. One nation under God. when you salute, you actually saluting them. Well, it won't be long now. I'll be coming down this street again. So when you see me, stand straight. Place your right hand over your heart. And I'll salute you by waving back. And I'll know that you remember. It's very nice to be here. I want you to know that this is a surprise. I didn't know I was going to speak. If I may, I'd just like to speak to one area instead of the specific here at Chestnut. If I may go to the general, the war itself. It was a war that was won, but there was surmountable odds. The chances of this group of farmers defeating the British in 1775 must have been 1,000 or 1,000,000 to 1. When one stops and thinks that only in 1763 the British defeated the French completely and removed them from North America. Only 12 years later, this ragtag group of farmers came together with a cause and defeated the most powerful nation on earth. Go. We stop and think that the sacrifices and the challenges that were met then can be met today with faith in God, faith in our country. I thank you so much.
Now I'd like to introduce freeholder Kurt Conover.
As you might know, my family has a long history of Vancouver right here at Seacon, then known as Convertown 1630. So I wouldn't be surprised if a few of the Vancouver were on those privateering vessels. And knowing what I know about the area, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those privateers were also clammers. The words of mere mortals today is overshadowed by the historical significance of what went before us. So I just want to leave you with one short thought, and that is that the history of mankind, recorded history, is dominated by government suppressing the individual and the people. The American Revolution is just the opposite of that concept. It's the first time in history that ever occurred. To me, that's very remarkable because these were men, Jefferson, Washington, these were men of great wealth and power. They could have conducted a revolution like most revolutions have been conducted in the world and installed themselves and created a system that benefited their class. Instead, they created a constitution that provided for freedom for the individual, which was unheard of. Provided a constitution that gave us an economic system that favored small business rather than big business and the wealthy class. To me, that's remarkable, and that's a lasting monument of why our country has survived so long and become so great. Thanks for coming out. I'm glad you spent time to commemorate these things because the world would be full without it.
David L. Van Duyn, Dylan, SAR. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here. I come to you with my wife from North Jersey this morning, and the governor's right. We must know more about the contributions that the privateers made to the foundation of this country. Up where I come from, we know the foot soldier and how he stayed ahead of the British on the retreat across New Jersey. We're happy to be here this morning and get a history lesson on the contribution of the privateers. On behalf of President Kenneth Hendricks, President of the New Jersey Society, Sons of the American Revolution, I bring you greetings and I bring congratulations to the Colonel Richard Summers chapter, Sons of the American Revolution, for this fine program and for the monument that will help us remember those privateers. Ken is, I believe, at his alma mater. Certainly a conflicting assignment, and I'm sure a very important one. On behalf of the New Jersey Society, Sons of the American Revolution, I have a presentation to make, as your program indicates. Will compatriot Norman Thomas please present himself in front of me? Congratulations. I'm wearing a SAR service war medal, and we have one for you this morning. We're very happy on behalf of the New Jersey Society, Sons of the American Revolution, to present it to you. Now, I did not put it together because it has a clip that identifies the war that really must be affixed there firmly. That was the big one. And again, where participation in World War II. To make another presentation and appropriate remark, Colonel John Fleming.
So the DAR monument would stand forth. And that's the reason ours stands back further, did that. The state regent gave her regrets she couldn't be with us. But I'd like to introduce Betty Earhart, the first vice regent of the General Lafayette chapter, if you would introduce her.
Thank you. Thank you. We're very proud to have General Lafayette chapter represented here today. You know very well if she possibly could, she would be. But we have her here in our school. I would like to introduce the ladies who are here. Hazel. Mrs. Hudson from General Lafayette chapter. Thank you. Mrs. Ireland from General Lafayette chapter. Mrs. Toms. Mrs. Mopston. Mrs. Essington. Mrs. King. And Alice Teal from Sarah Stillwell, is it? I just want to trust it.
It's a proud moment this very morning, and this is the beginning of the dedication of this monument. In case we fail to mention it, this monument came from the Mullica River in the Sweetwater area. And so it may look